One of the mentors of my life once told me in a great parenting advice when he said this. He said, more is caught than is taught. More is caught than is taught. And that's because our lives are contagious. When people are around us, they catch what we are all about. And we can say we're about different things. We can say all the right things. We can teach all the right things, but your life is contagious. And whether you're choosing to live a powerful life or allowing fear to push you into a place of feeling powerless, one of those is being caught by the people around you. I want to talk to you guys about the power of you and how God has created you with a spirit of power, of love, and of self-control. And if there's ever a time in life we need to be reminded of that, it's times like this. Unprecedented times, not only for our country, but the globe in general. And so I just want to take some time tonight to look at the idea of how powerful God has created you to be. We're going to look at the language that powerful people use, the kind of lens that powerful people view their world, and an understanding of getting kind of curious of what core beliefs powerful people hold on to in times like these. And so I'm excited about that. As Jessica said in the intro, I do run a ministry here in Indianapolis called Blackbird Mission. We started a thing called Pub Theology many years ago, taking the gospel of Jesus out of the four walls of the church and back in the everyday spaces and places of life. And that's been a joy. I also host a radio show called Radio Theology. And all of that is really tailored to invite people to become who God's created them to be. And they do that through our Spiritual DNA online course. And you can search all the information at our website, blackbirdmission.com, or follow any of the social medias for any of the ministries. This Thursday, if you're looking for something else to do, we're going to be doing a virtual online pub theology event in a basement here somewhere in town to just honor all the social distancing, protocols and the fact that no restaurants are open. But we'd love for you to join us there on our Facebook page for Pub Theology at 8:30 this Thursday. But that's some of what I do, and this is a little bit of who I am. This is my family. I have three boys. They're 15, 13, and 9. And my wife, Julie, we've been married for 18 years now. And so Cole, Ty, and Knock, those are my sons, and our little mini golden doodle, Theo, there. I thought he was, I guess he thinks he's a model for this photo shoot, looking all proper there. But that photo was taken just 2 weeks ago as we were first getting into the quarantine situation. We had some friends actually that are great professional photographers, Signer Photography, came up with an idea to do these port sessions during the quarantine. And through their efforts, we were able to raise over $4,000 that were actually donated to some food banks here in town, and just cool stuff. And that's a little bit about me. There's my family. And I guess one of my big purposes in life, I would say, is to love my family well. And I think all of us would probably say the same thing, is that that's what we want our life to be about. And probably if you were quizzed and someone said, hey, I hear you're a Christian, what's your purpose in life? You would probably say something like, my purpose is to love people. Like, that's what my purpose in life is. And that's what you would publicly say. And it's probably actually what you believe. But I had to come to terms in the past couple of years with an unfortunate reality for me, is I began to realize that I don't know that my purpose in life was actually love and staying connected to people. And the reason that I realized that is because I think that my purpose in life, and maybe yours, and it may be a completely unintended purpose, is actually to manage fear and distance. You say, Daron, that doesn't sound great. I don't like the sound of that. That's definitely not going to go in a t-shirt I'm going to wear anytime soon, right? Like, my purpose in life, managing fear and distance. But if you think about it practically, last time that you got into an argument with your spouse and fear rose up that maybe you weren't going to connect the way you wanted to, or maybe that you weren't going to be loved the way that you need to be. When you're faced with fear, most of the time what we do is we begin to manage that fear. And a lot of the ways that we manage it is by managing the distance and disconnect that we have from people we love. Not a pretty thing to look at, but it's what happens to us. Think about maybe a conversation you've had at work recently with somebody who's not meeting up to the standards of the company, or maybe you had to go talk to your boss. you find yourself in these situations and you want to say, hey, man, I exist for love and to stay connected to people. But when fear, when it begins to rear its ugly head, it's amazing what it does to us internally. And then oftentimes our purpose begins to become in our life, I just got to try to manage fear and manage distance. And in times like this, there's plenty that has us afraid, uncertainty around the coronavirus and everything going around globally, uncertainty around the economy, uncertainty around our jobs, whatever it may be. Is fear can begin to wreak havoc in our life because it truly is our enemy. You want your life to matter. I know you do. God created us that way, but fear is your enemy. And what fear does to us is fear begins to lie to us and make us believe that we're powerless in its presence. And it's just not true. You are not powerless in the presence of fear. God has created you with a spirit of love and of power and of self-control. And it's something that we have to choose to begin to move into the fear that sometimes can cripple us and actually begin the process to truly make the purpose of our life love and connection with other people. And so that's what I want to do. I want to challenge us tonight to just take a look at the fact that maybe our purpose in life isn't what we think it is. But is there an opportunity that God could lead us to a place where we begin to choose what we want it to be, that we begin to choose to stay powerful in the face of fear, because that's how God has created us. And, we talked about more serious things of fear as far as like the coronavirus and our jobs, but I can remember a kind of a silly story is many years ago, I got a call from my best friend's wife, and I could tell by the sound of her voice, she was scared of something. He's a dentist. He was at work. He couldn't leave the office. And I was driving around town at that point between appointments, and she was like, I need your help. And I thought, okay, well, I want to be helpful, right? So what do you need help with? And she said something that I didn't want to hear. She said, well, there's a snake in our garage and I can't leave. I'm too terrified. And unfortunately, maybe my desire to be a hero, I don't know, something spoke before I really thought. And I was like, yeah, I'll come right over. And I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I hate snakes. I can't help. Like I'm going to be powerless in the face of this snake. So I get to their house and I walk up the driveway, and she's standing in the door of the driveway, a door of the garage. And so as I begin walking up to the garage, I'm feeling kind of tough. I'm here to, kill the snake or do whatever needs to be done. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm scared of snakes. But as I'm walking up into the garage, her face, just this look of panic comes over her face, and she starts pointing at my feet, but she can't get the words. Have you ever been so scared that you can't actually utter words, right? She's just like, there's just sounds coming out. And I'm like, what are you saying? Are we playing charades here? What's happening? Right. And then she gets the one word out that I didn't want to hear. She yells snake, and she's pointing down at my feet. And I look down and I see probably a good like 18 to 20-inch snake. I mean, it wasn't even that impressive, but it was a snake, and it was crawling between my feet. I jumped and screamed like a little child. I was embarrassed of myself. And in that moment, right, where I'm seeing this snake and I know that I'm the person that's supposed to do something about it, fear is telling me you are powerless in this situation. I don't know if you've ever had a run-in like that with the reptile or something more scary than that, but it was in that moment that I realized how powerless fear can make us feel. I won't end the story as far as who won the battle, me or the snake, but I became very familiar with how powerless fear can make you feel. And right now, I think if there's anything that our world needs, whether it's because of the coronavirus situation or even before that, I think before we were all, huddled together and coming together as the world to try to get through this, especially in America, we were very divided. And I think in a lot of ways we still are. If it doesn't take long for you to jump on Facebook and read the comment sections of people's feeds to realize that that fear of our differences, fears of opinions that we don't believe in, fears of people's opinions of us, they begin to make us feel very powerless. And we end up getting into very, I would not say loving conversations on Facebook. And I don't think that's the kind of world we want to live in. I don't think that's the kind of world that God wants to see us create. And if there's anything the world needs now, it needs people that truly do exist and fight to stay connected and to fight for love. And the thing that's been interesting about my life, I've realized, is that love is an absolute choice. And I wish it weren't. I wish love were a feeling, something you could just, easily fall in and out of, but it's just not. And if you've been to a wedding recently, I've heard somebody read 1 Corinthians 13, right? Which is the kind of famous love scripture. Is love is patient, love is kind and gentle, and doesn't keep any records of wrong, and never fails, and always hopes. And beautiful, beautiful scripture. I know we all love it. But in 18 years of marriage and in all of my life to this point, I don't think I have ever accidentally become patient. How about you? Like, you're just going through your life and your husband or wife are doing something unbelievably annoying, and all of a sudden you realize, I just accidentally became amazingly patient to them. I've just not done it. I never had it happen. I've never accidentally forgiven someone. I've never accidentally just like happenstance kept no record of wrong. It's never happened. If it happens for you, I'd love to hear about it. Put it in the comment section about how you accidentally learned to love. Here's what I've discovered: is love is a choice. You have to choose to love. And it's a powerful decision. You have to choose to hope. You have to choose to forgive. You have to choose to become patient. Love is a choice. And, I wish it were easier than that, but it doesn't seem to be. And so as we talk about our purpose in life, I know we want it to be love. We know God is love, and we want to emulate his life. We want to become a manifestation of his spirit, the fruit of his spirit. And so I know love is what we want to be about, but we have to make some very difficult choices to actually get there. I can think about the choice I had to make to get married. If you guys or if you're married, you remember the point where you propose to your spouse, or maybe they propose to you. And if there's ever a more terrifying moment, I don't know what it is, like this moment where you are, declaring, or at least requesting, the opportunity to love somebody for the rest of their life, and you're just terrified that they're going to say no. And I remember when I asked my wife to marry, we were living in Indiana. But we went out to visit my folks, who at that time lived in Arizona, and we went up out on this golf course overlooking the whole Valley of the Sun. It was a beautiful night, and I got down on my knee and I read this quote from William Murray about commitment, about choosing love, and it goes like this: until one is committed, there is hesitancy. And I think that's so true. As we're looking at our purpose of our life and wanting to stay powerful and wanting to choose love, if we're not committed to that, if we've not yet made that commitment, there is hesitancy. But then it says this: there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative in creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitively commits oneself, then providence moves too. You see, we have to choose to become powerful people and choose love. And when we do, God begins to move on our account. And what we need right now in our world, what we need right now in your home, what you need right now in your city, is we need powerfully loving people that understand the power that God has put within them. And here's the deal. What I want you to understand is that you are contagious. Your life is contagious. I hope this screen and the mask is not too soon or triggering anybody today. I know that the coronavirus is something to not be made light of. And if we ever need an example of what something that is highly contagious can do, that in the matter of literally 3 months, this has gone from one person to hundreds of thousands of people across the globe. It's literally shut the world down. In your life, I pray you're not contagious with the coronavirus, and none of you get it or come in contact with it. But your life is contagious. Your life, the way that you live, the way that you love, the way that the choices that you're making, they have an impact on people around you, even if you don't know it. And one example you can have of this is if you have kids. Have you ever had a time where your kids do something that you've never told them to do, but they do it, and then you get mad because you realize the only reason they're doing it is because you do it and they've watched you do it? Those are terrifying moments, especially if they're doing something that you would rather them not do. right? It's the classic, hey, do what I say, not as I do, but it just doesn't work because one of the mentors of my life once told me in a great parenting advice when he said this, he said, more is caught than is taught. More is caught than is taught. And that's because our lives are contagious. When people are around us, they catch what we are all about. And we can say we're about different things. We can say all the right things. We can teach all the right things, but your life is contagious. And whether you're choosing to live a powerful life or allowing fear to push you into a place of feeling powerless, one of those is being caught by the people around you. And here's the question I have for you is if we were to send somebody to live at your house, or maybe you were to hire them and they were to come work in your division at your work, if we went and they had their first exposure to you, and then we came back and maybe checked in on them 6 weeks or 6 months later, what would they be? What would they be infected with? Like, what is your life spreading? If we came back and talked to these people months after they had their first exposure to you, would we find people who were infected with joy or anger? Would you find people that were full of more peace or anxiety? Are people catching from you patience or irritation, kindness or meanness, goodness or cruelty? When they're around you, do they all of a sudden begin to be filled with self-control or self-indulgence, honesty or deception? You see, your life is contagious. And I think we all want relationships that are full of love, that are powerful relationships. But we have to ask ourselves is what are people catching when they're around me? Because I need to choose love. I need to choose to come into agreement with what God has said, that he's sent a spirit within us that is actually a spirit of power, of love, and of self-control. But you have to choose it. Here's the deal. You were created to be a very, very powerful person. Within this, you're going to be a person that is actually creative and creates the future around them. I once heard Erwin McManus say that the natural result of spirituality is creativity. And when you're a powerful person moving with the Spirit of God, you will become creative. Now, I don't mean you're going to be an artist, you're going to do sculptures and paintings, but you will become creative and you will be a creative force in your world. And that's what powerful people are. What is also true is that powerless people are not creators, they're consumers, right? Powerful people create, powerless people consume. And by consumption, I mean they consume all of your energy. Have you ever been around somebody that is a powerless person that just feels like they're the biggest victim in the world? They're kind of like that. Maybe they're your office Eeyore, like in life, right? There's always ho hum, and they're always the victim of something, and they're always sad about something, and they're always blaming someone else for their problems. Those kind of people, right? You come in on a Monday morning and maybe you've just had the best cup of coffee and you're ready to go. You're going to kill it. Like this is going to be the best Monday of all Mondays. And then you walk in and you talk to this powerless person. And within 5 minutes, like they've attached like a suction hose of life and they've just begun to drain all of your energy and your life out of you. And you're like, dude, I was going to really have a great day. And I don't know what just happened, but I got to go home and take a nap. I got to have a nap by noon on a Monday because I'm around a person who is living their life as a powerless victim. And here's, guys, how we begin to actually maybe tip our hand a little bit and get an idea if you're around somebody who is powerful or if there's somebody who believes that they're powerless. And here's what it looks like. Powerful people choose powerful language. They understand that they have a responsibility for their own life. I like that word, responsibility, right? If you break it down, responsibility is actually having the ability to respond to your life. If you're responsible for your own life, you understand that you have the ability to respond to your life. You're responsible for it. You've made a choice because you're a powerful person. If you look at this, I love this breakdown by Danny Silk, one of my favorite authors. Talks about one of the first things that tips us off to a person who may be living a powerless life in the face of fear is this. It says, often the first thing that reveals a powerless mindset is powerless language. Frequent uses of the phrase, I can't, I have to, is a hallmark of a powerless person. I can't do that. It's too hard. I have to clean the kitchen. I have to go to school. I have to spend time with so-and-so. All of these statements say, I feel powerless to take responsibility for my actions. So I'll say that someone or something else is making me do it. If you're going to be a powerful person, you have to choose powerful language and keep yourself focused on the responsibility that you have to choose love and power and self-control, the spirit of God that's been placed within you. So if you're struggling with this, I want you to just take a look at some of these basic words. How often in life are you saying that you have to do something, or I can't do that? How often is that where you're at, where you're talking, you're saying, I have to go to work, or I have to go work for this company, or I have to stay at home for the quarantine? Are you a victim in your life, or could you just change one word and begin to step into a more powerful place in your life? If you just were to replace it with this, with literally the word, I choose to, or I get to. You see, when we get to be involved in our life, it's a much different and much more powerful place than something that we have to do. I get to go to work. I get to work here. I get to deal with these problems. When you get to, rather than you have to, you are taking responsibility for your life, and you're living as a powerful person, even in the midst of fear. You're not a victim of your own life. You're powerful, and you can choose words to keep yourself focused in that, because that's how God has created you to live. Here's another big change, guys. I want to throw this one to you. This change of one word has drastically changed my life. It's drastically changed the way I parent. It's drastically changed the way I interact with my wife. And it's this. It's the shift from should to could. Powerless people should people to death. Should is a very dangerous word because it's a shame-filled word. You're actually taking people out of a place of powerfulness in a place to choose, and you're shaming them based on your opinion of what they should do with their intentions. And if you've been around somebody that does this, Wayne Jacobson, one of my favorite authors, says it all the time. He says, listen, don't should on your friends and don't should on yourself. It's a very, very dangerous culture and thing to create in your life. Right? You should call them. You should read this book. You should get a better job. You should show up on time. The list can go on and on. You should take out the trash. You should get better grades. We're shaming people and putting them in a place of powerlessness. And literally the change of one word could not only set you up to be a more powerful person, but can actually create an empowering environment in every relationship of your life. Because watch this, watch the difference of this. Let's say you feel like you need to get involved in something. You need to check in on someone who maybe is alone. Maybe it's through this coronavirus that you feel like that people need to be checked on. Maybe it's some elderly folks in your community. If you tell yourself, I should do that, you've put yourself in a place of powerlessness, because you're fearing maybe that they will think that you don't love them, or that you're not thinking of them, or whatever the lie you may be believing is. But if you just said it this way, I could check on them, all of a sudden you've placed yourself in a powerful position to make a decision to love someone. This also works when you're trying to develop leadership in people at your job, or maybe even people in your home, maybe it's your kids. Is when we should on our children, we take their ability to learn that God has created them to be powerful. Instead of one thing that we've changed in the way that we parent here in our home is that we do our best in every situation to give our boys at least two choices in any decision, two choices that we're fine, whichever one they choose, but we give them opportunity. You could do this, or you could do this. Let me know what you decide. You'd be amazed at how their countenance changes when they realize that they have been made by God to be powerful, to choose love, and to choose responsibility for their own life. Even if they may be afraid of the consequences or the situation they're in, they're being raised to understand that they are powerful. It's the power of could. If you're developing somebody at work and you want them to get involved in maybe a leadership development course, you come in and say, hey, you know what, Bill, you should, I've been reading a book and I think it'd be really good for you. You should read it. I think you should get this. I'll buy it for you, but I think you should. Right. Well, Bill may say yes to you because he feels pressured or he feels guilty, but I don't know that he's going to really powerfully engage in the process. But what if you came into Bill's office? He said, Bill, man, I've been reading this book. It has changed my life and I love it. I think it could really, really be something great for you. And I tell you what, I could buy it for you. If you'd like to read it, I could buy it and you could read it. You've given Bill now an opportunity to take a powerful stance to be involved in his own development. And I'm telling you, you just begin to choose the word could. You're going to be amazed at of how contagious you become as a person who creates an environment of power and responsibility around you. Then I want to share this with you guys is the first thing to figure out if you're a powerful person, if you're creating a powerful environment, is you're going to look at your language. Your language often, though, is going to be anchored in what your core beliefs about your identity are. And truthful or powerful people tell themselves the truth about themselves. Powerless people believe lies that fear has told them. And here are the three core lies that every one of us as human beings we deal with. One of these is going to be most prominent in your life, but all three will be present. And the author of these lies is the father of lies, right? Is the devil. And he is fear and he is our enemy. And we need to take a look at and see if these are something that are holding us back. The three core lies are this: I am what others think of me. I am what I can accomplish. And I am what I have. If you're right now using a lot of powerless language, it's probably anchored into one of these lies. People that believe that I am what others think of me, they struggle not to want to fix and to please people around them. They often become the rescuer in situations because they want to do whatever they can to make sure people think kindly of them and think well of them. This doesn't allow them to step into situations with power and love and self-control because they're oftentimes trying to guess of what people's opinions may do and how they may shift. This is not a safe place to be. It's not a place of love, okay? Or some people believe that I am what I accomplish, that I am defined by what I can achieve. And the imagery I want to give you here is, once again, it's a quote by one of my favorites, Wayne Jacobson, who said this. He said, "The devil drives us while the Father leads us." And the image I get when I hear that is people that are driven by the lie that I am what I can accomplish, and they feel powerless in the face of not succeeding or not going over the top with something they accomplish, is that they wake up every day almost with a gun to the back of their head. Like, I am driven and I have to accomplish something today. Rather, people that are being led by the Father are able to peacefully look forward in life and with maybe their hands up to be led, say, Father, where are we going today? Because I am not what I accomplish. I am who you say that I am. I am who you have declared that I am. I am the righteousness of Christ. I'm a son or daughter of God. I'm a salt and light of the earth. I'm an ambassador of Jesus, as if he was making his appeal to the world through me. Those are truths about you, and powerful people tell themselves the truth. The last core lie there is that I am what I have. If this is a lie that's driving you, you're going to work really hard at protecting everything that you have. You're going to protect your time. You're going to protect your money. You're going to protect your energy. Oftentimes in conflict, you're going to flee from situations because you need to conserve energy and conserve life because you are what you have. This is a lie that will lead you to live a very powerless life and will lead you away from love. All three of these lies will. So I just want to remind you, I want to encourage you tonight. You are a powerful person. There's great power in you because God is in you, and he has created you to live with his spirit within you, a spirit that he's given you that is full of power and of love and of self-control. And when we choose love, when we make those decisions, here's what happens. We live in the way that we're created. We're created to love, and we're designed for connections. And that's what God has for us. That's how God's created us. I look forward to the day when we're not socially isolated and quarantined. We can do what we're seeing in this picture, actually gather with people, love them, connect with them. And once we get that opportunity, if we can step into situations and say, you know what, the purpose of my life is love. I can take responsibility for my language. I can take responsibility for telling myself the truth about myself. And I can move powerfully in the face of fear. And I'd love to stay connected with you guys. I do have a 5-day free devotional that I'd love to send to you if you'd like to get it. It's called the 5-Day Jumpstart to Purpose. It's short audio devotionals that I'll send you over the next 5 mornings. And if you just go to IamBornToBe.com, that's the website. The link's going to show up there. Julie just tossed it up there. IamBornToBe.com. It's a free 5-day devotion. I'd love for you to check that out. And I will be hosting another webinar on my Facebook live platform next week. I'd love for you to be a part of it. And if you want more information on that, you can just follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll be sending out information about that. Would love to be connected with you. And it's been a joy to be with you guys tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging in there. And we may have a few minutes, I think, maybe for questions. And I'd love to take some questions.
Awesome. Wonderful. All right. Just want to give you guys an opportunity. We'll take a few minutes here that if you have any thoughts or questions or other areas you'd like more information on that he can speak to, now's your time to drop it into the chat box. We would love to hear from you. I know in my own experience, this was critically important to me when I was in college, where I would have to tell myself, like, I want to be here. I am paying money to be here. I don't have to go to class. I'm choosing to go to class.
Yes.
But it's awesome to hear about the different kinds of spiritual and interpersonal, where that applies to. But that was a lifesaver for me in my grades. All right, we've got a first question here. What self-talk do you give when you get into have versus get to mentality?
Well, yeah, Jessica, I love what you just shared. I think as you begin to self-talk your way through it and finish the sentences out and then kind of set them out, B them to yourself of, I have to go to class right now and I have to go do this. And then you stop and you just change that one word. And I'm serious, it changes your countenance. It changes your posture because you realize I get to, and what this will begin to do is powerful people also are driven by gratitude, and gratitude leads them to joy. And when you begin to see the things that you actually can become grateful that I do get to do these things. Now, they might be a challenge. They may not be my favorite thing, but I am a powerful person as I've chosen this. So I would say some of it, just begin to A-B it to yourself, say those sentences out and see which one feels more true to you.
Do you have any advice for incorporating gratitude into your life?
Great question. What I would say is start small. Start small. I think sometimes even when things are bad, but then we got to find something huge to be grateful for. But maybe you start a day with this is like, if you can see, you start your day off with like, and I'm glad I can see. When you have a cup of coffee, if you can taste it, you can start with, and I'm grateful for coffee. We want to be grateful for the huge things in life. And maybe we're thinking big spiritual type ideas, but if you can start with the simple, it's amazing the difference it makes. Yesterday, the day before, my 9-year-old son, Knox, was praying for us before dinner. And I've tried my best to raise my voice to find something grateful for every day. They end their day and they start their day with gratitude. And we had just found out we're going to be another 30 days in quarantine in our house, right? And so Knox is like, yeah, I want to pray for dinner. Great. And he starts the day off and he's like, God, thanks for a beautiful day. The sun was out today. We're going to have a good dinner. Thanks for these steaks. Like, he's going through all these things he's grateful for. And I had to affirm him afterwards of like, Knox, thanks, buddy. Like, I'm sitting here heavy hearted thinking we're going to be stuck in our house for another 30 days. And he starts his prayer off just being grateful for sunshine and steaks. And so start small.
That is awesome. We have a comment in here that says, this is a setup from the giant Zig Ziglar's Stinkin' Thinkin' video. Great one to watch following this great presentation. I'm not familiar with this video. Daron, are you?
I'm not. Zig Ziglar has some great stuff. I know I've heard about him talk about Stinkin' Thinkin' before, but I don't think I've seen that YouTube or seen that video. I have to go check it out.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt, for the comment. And then we have another question coming in. I can see myself in all three of the lies. What advice do you have to help change this?
Yeah, Kathy, great question. And I would say it's not just you. All three of these lies do find, their tentacles into us and hold on to us. There's going to be one that's going to be, more core for us. And so what I would say is I think I said this morning in the webinar, is what I would encourage you to do. And this is difficult for us, but it's an absolute game changer, is when we begin to see that fear has lied to us and we've started to believe it, we need to try to become compassionately curious. That phrase has absolutely changed my life in the last 5 years is to become compassionately curious about what's going on in your life. And so, what that looks like is spending some time thinking, praying, listening to the Lord, and just looking at it like, man, I think I think that I believe that I am what others think of me. And usually the meanest person to all of us is ourselves, right? And so you realize, man, I'm believing a lie. And the first thing you do is you don't become compassionate, you become condemning to yourself. That's so stupid. Why would you care what others think of you? When did you ever start believing that? That's so like whatever the self-talk you have. But it's to meet those moments with compassion and go, you know what? I think you believe that you are what others think. Where do you think that came from? That's got to be really scary to think about. Let me get curious about that. When did that start? And you begin to unpack the reality of that lie and ask the Holy Spirit, right? Jesus told us that the Holy Spirit was going to come and was going to guide us into all truth. And so then you ask the Holy Spirit to come start riding shotgun in this process of compassionate curiosity and unpacking where these lies have taken hold and asking Christ to begin to lead you by the Holy Spirit to the truth that can begin to combat those lies. That's why I would tell you as a place to start with some compassionate curiosity.